Enga is one of the provinces in Papua New Guinea. It is located in the northmost region of the highlands of PNG, having been divided from the Western Highlands to become a separate province when the provinces were created at the time of independence in 1975. The people of Enga are called Engans. They are a majority ethnic group, speaking one language in all its 5 districts, approximately 500,000 people. A small minority of Engans land on the eastern side of the region remained in the Western Highlands, the territory being accessible by road from Mount Hagen but not directly from elsewhere in Enga territory. Physical geography. Enga is the highest and is the second most rugged province in Papua New Guinea. It covers an area of 2,800 square kilometers. Much of the province is at altitudes of over 2,000 meters. Lower altitude areas are typically valleys which form the watershed for the 2 major river systems that drain the province, the Lagaipi and the Lai. Human geography. The Papua New Guinea census of 2000 lists the population of Enga at 295,031 people, although the accuracy of the census is questionable. The provincial capital of Enga is Wabag. The 2 other main centers of population are Wapanamanda and Laagam. Porgera, at the western edge of the province, is home to a gold mine operated by Barrick Gold. Enga is unique among the provinces in Papua New Guinea in that it has only one major linguistic and ethnic group, Enga speakers. Although dialects of the Enga language vary greatly from Laagam in the west to Wapanamanda in the east, Engans' shared ethnic identity overshadows the existence of other ethnic groups in the province, such as Ipili speakers and Net speakers. Districts and LLGs. Each province in Papua New Guinea has 1 or more districts, and each district has 1 or more local-level government areas. For census purposes, the LLG areas are subdivided into wards and those into census units. Politics. Politics of Enga Province comprises the governor and 5 open MPs. The Provincial Assembly is headed by the Governor-Chief Peter I. Putters. Members of the National Parliament. The province and each district is represented by a member of the National Parliament. There is 1 provincial electorate and each district is a local electorate. The following table lists members before and after the 2012 general election. Culture. Like many other highland Papua New Guineans living west of the Dorlo Pass, the traditional Engan settlement style is that of scattered homesteads dispersed throughout the landscape. Historically, sweet potato was the staple food, sometimes supplemented by pork. The modern diet places an increasing emphasis on store-bought rice and tinned fish and meat. Pigs remain a culturally valued item with elaborate systems of pig exchange, also known as tea, that mark social life in the province. Traditional Engan culture practice strict segregation of sexes. During initiation, young men between the ages of 16 and 19 were purified in seclusion at a ceremony called the Sangai, in which their eyes were richly washed with water to remove any taint resulting from contact with females, and where they prepared traditional finery, the most notable item being a wig made out of their own hair. This distinctive round wig topped with sicklebird feathers is, more than any other item, an icon, a symbol of Engan culture today. Today the most popular religions in Enga are Catholicism, the Lutheran Church, the Baptist Church and the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Charismatic and Pentecostal movements are growing in popularity. The lifestyle and customs of the Enga people were extensively studied and reported upon by the American anthropologist Mervyn McGann. Kumpiam is another district located on the northern edge of Enga Province as Maramuni, a sub-district of Wabag District situated ahead of Kumpiam, sharing border with the East Sepik Province. Both Kumpiam and Maramuni share the physical geography, human geography and culture with the entire Enga Province. Traditional architecture. For centuries Engans have constructed dwellings made from a locally available bush materials. Roof construction is often of a crude thatch type, waterproofing being obtained by repeated lighting of a heavily smoking fire inside and the accretion of the soot onto the roofing material. Floors are often dirt, covered with a semi-disposable woven layer of bush material. Sugarcane husks are also spread across the dirt to provide a disposable covering. In wind-prone areas of Enga, windproofing of the walls is affected by sealing with a daub mixture of pig manure, tree sap and ash. People, like many ethnic groups in the Papua New Guinea Highlands, Engans often possess a strong and sturdy frame, being neither remarkably short nor tall. Most men cultivate a beard after their early adult years have passed, which will be allowed to grow until it is a fine length. Women too will occasionally cultivate facial hair, it not being regarded as particularly attractive or unattractive. Facial tattooing of women is common, for various reasons, and the markings can be as simple as a small circle, all the way to complicated striations which cover the entire face. As elsewhere in Papua New Guinea, the wantic system is a key cultural item. Polygamy is practiced by some Engan men. Education. There are numerous elementary and high schools in the province, both government-established and a number by Lutheran and Roman Catholic churches. For higher education, Engans used to travel to senior high schools for grades 11 and 12 in other provinces recently. The government has built 3 secondary schools for year 11 and 12. Further education is progressed at universities in Lake Garokamadang, Ribaula, Port Moresby or at the University Centre in Wabag. Engans attend colleges in other parts of the country as well, including the New Enga Teachers College and the Institute of Business Studies. Tribal conflicts are common, using crude clubs and steel bush knives, occasionally employing the use of shields made from corrugated sheeting. The usual method of engagement is for both warring parties to line up opposite each other, spend several hours verbally abusing each other, with small rushes towards and away from the enemy being made, increasing in boldness. Eventually, a critical point is reached and the battle begins in earnest. High-powered rifles, homemade shotguns and sidearms are becoming more and more popular weapons in Enga, both for tribal warfare and for rascal activities. When projectile weaponry is utilized in a traditional tribal fight, the death toll is significantly higher. History. Although little archaeological excavation has been done in Enga, it is clear that the area has been settled for over 12,000 years. Europeans, typically Australian gold prospectors, originally entered what is now Enga Province from the east in the late 1920s, although the best-known exploration of Enga took place during the early 1930s when Mclehi and a party of men travelled from what later became Mount Hagen to the site of the future Wabag and then south through the Ambam Valley to what later became East Sepik. By World War II, Enga had been very roughly mapped by the government, but a permanent government presence was not established in most of the district until the late 1950s. Lutheran missionaries from the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in the United States, as well as Roman Catholic missionaries, were permitted to establish stations beginning in 1949. Both established primary schools and the Lutherans a high school. Although the Goodnius Lutheran Church that developed from the Lutheran efforts has strong links to the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, it has become associated with the more mainstream Evangelical Lutheran Church of Papua New Guinea, sharing clerical training at a college in Lake Morobe Province. Enga was part of Western Highlands district until just before Papua New Guinea independence in 1975, when most of the Enga-speaking part of the district was separated into a discrete district. Eminent international poet and writer E.A. Markham worked and lived in Wabag as a VSO volunteer in 1983–84 and wrote a Papua New Guinea sojourn about the province and his time in it. As in some other provinces, the provincial government has a history of corruption and lack of capacity, and is unique in Papua New Guinea for having had its power suspended 3 times by the national government due to concerns over its accountability. Ultimately, in June 1995, in an effort to reassert a measure of control by the central government over the often wayward provinces in an environment of limited numbers of personnel qualified for public office in many of the provinces, the office of provincial premier was abolished and the regional members of parliament became provincial governors, while retaining the national seats in parliament. Nationally eminent Engans have included the late Malipu Balakau, Satii Abel, Sam Abel, Don Poli, Sapato Kakara and many others.